Hospitals always have an air about them, sterility masking an undercurrent of sickness, death, and quiet desperation. You'd think after years of working night shifts as a hospital security guard, I'd have gotten used to it. But there's one part of St. Andrew's Medical Center I still refuse to go near alone, the Red Wing. The Red Wing wasn't always sealed off. Back in the 90s, it was the psych ward. They shut it down after some kind of scandal. The hospital's official line is budget cuts, but I heard rumors. Too many patients died under questionable circumstances. Too many unexplained events made staff quit without notice. Whatever happened, they locked it up, bricked over the connecting hallway, and eventually, most people forgot it existed. Most people. Not me. I was working a Tuesday night, 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., my usual shift. The ER had been unusually quiet, just a couple of drunk drivers and one kid with a fever his panicked mom insisted was deadly. Around 2 a.m., I decided to stretch my legs. The hallways were empty, lit with the dim, greenish glow of ancient fluorescence. The quiet was comforting in its own way, like the building itself was asleep. Then, I heard it. A faint, distant sound, a rhythmic tapping. I stopped, straining my ears. Tap. 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 Like someone was knocking on glass. It seemed to be coming from the far end of the West Wing, near the sealed-off hallway that led to the Red Wing. My stomach sank, but I told myself it was probably just some maintenance worker or an old pipe acting up. Still, I tightened my grip on my flashlight and started walking toward the noise. The closer I got, the colder it felt. Hospitals are cold places, sure, but this was different. It was the kind of cold that sinks into your bones, makes your breath fog, even indoors. My heart was hammering by the time I reached the end of the hall. The sealed-off door loomed before me, its paint chipped, the edges smeared with grime from decades of neglect. The tapping stopped. For a moment, there was silence. Then a voice, muffled and faint, called out from behind the door. "Hello? Is someone there? Please help me." I froze. It was a woman's voice, shaky and hoarse, like she'd been crying. My throat went dry. I knew this part of the hospital had been empty for over 2 decades. There was no way anyone could be back there. "Please," the voice pleaded again. I can't get out." Every instinct screamed at me to turn around and walk away, but I couldn't. Maybe it was some prank, a nurse trying to freak me out, or a recording someone set up to mess with the new guy. But I wasn't new. And no one else was on shift in this wing tonight. "Hello?" I called back, my voice shaky. "Who's there?" The silence stretched. My flashlight beam wavered as my hands started to tremble. Then, the door, the one bricked over, shuddered. Just once, a sharp, violent movement like something had slammed against it from the other side. I stumbled back, heart pounding in my chest. That's when the lights in the hallway flickered and died, plunging me into darkness. I fumbled with my flashlight as the darkness swallowed the hallway. My breath came quick, sharp, and loud in the suffocating silence. The beam of light flicked back on, shaky in my trembling grip, and illuminated the sealed door. The tapping started again. Faster now. Erratic. Like fingers scrabbling on glass, except there wasn't any glass. Just layers of brick and plaster. "Let me out," the voice whimpered. "Please. Don't leave me." Every rational part of me screamed to turn and run, but my legs didn't get the memo. My body felt rooted, frozen by that impossible voice. I took a tentative step closer, swallowing hard. Who are you? How did you get back there?" The air seemed to thicken around me. I could feel it pressing against my skin, cold and clammy, like I'd just stepped into a walk-in freezer. Then the voice, closer now, answered. "They locked me in," it said, voice cracking with desperation. I don't remember why. Please, they're coming. My stomach twisted into knots. They. That word chilled me more than the cold ever could. The tapping stopped. Silence again. I leaned closer to the door, my heart hammering against my ribs. Who's coming? For a moment, all I could hear was my own ragged breathing. Then, faintly, like a whisper carried on a breeze, I heard it, a low, guttural growl. It came from behind the door. No, it was coming from the walls, the floors, everywhere at once. It vibrated through my chest, a sound so primal and wrong it made my skin crawl. The hairs on my neck stood up as I stumbled back. The voice returned, louder now, almost screaming. They're here. Don't let them find you. Then came the scratching. It was subtle at first, like nails dragging across wood. Then it grew louder, more frantic. I swung my flashlight beam toward the walls, the ceiling, the floor, but there was nothing there, nothing I could see, at least. The sound was everywhere, closing in. I turned to run, but the hallway stretched impossibly long before me, far longer than it should have been. The air felt heavier with every step, the walls seeming to lean in as I sprinted. My boots pounded against the linoleum, the flashlight beam bouncing wildly in front of me. Behind me, the scratching grew louder, faster, impossible claws on stone, chasing me down the endless corridor. I didn't dare look back. I couldn't. Then, as suddenly as it started, the sound stopped. I skidded to a halt, my chest heaving, my lungs burning. The silence was deafening, save for my heartbeat pounding in my ears. I swung the flashlight in every direction, trying to make sense of where I was. The hallway looked different now, narrower, the paint peeling, the floor cracked. That's when I saw the door. It was identical to the one in the Red Wing, bricked up, weathered, and out of place. But this door wasn't supposed to be here. I'd run straight toward the East Wing, toward the cafeteria and main elevators. This door shouldn't exist. Before I could move, the flashlight flickered and died. The darkness closed in like a suffocating wave. And then I heard it again, the growl. Deep, guttural, and close. This time, it wasn't alone. Footsteps followed, heavy and wet, dragging across the floor. They came closer, slow but deliberate, each step sending vibrations through the ground. I backed against the wall, clutching the useless flashlight. My hands fumbled for the radio on my belt, but when I lifted it, there was only static. The footsteps stopped a few feet away. I could feel something there, something massive, looming, watching. Then, a voice. Not the woman's. This one was deep and gravelly, the words barely human. You shouldn't be here. I don't know what happened next. The lights snapped back on, and I found myself crouched in the middle of the main lobby, drenched in sweat and clutching the flashlight so hard my knuckles ached. A nurse on duty, Kelly, stared at me from the front desk. "Are you okay?" she asked, her brow furrowed. "You look like you